Dave. Thanks for checking out Kotaku Bonsai. Hey, I'm Dave. Thanks for checking out Kotaku Bonsai. If you've seen my other videos with this deadwood right here, can you see the risers right there? And I did that in a previous video to prepare that deadwood to be a Tanuki. And there's a whole video about my explanations for using these and what I did and how it works. But I'm proud to say that this thing has been sitting there for the last few weeks. We've had some gale force winds, crazy storms, and it stayed upright and it has not fallen over. So I feel really good that I got it centered, the center of gravity kind of dialed in so that it'll sit really well in the pot in the future. And hopefully that'll make for longevity. Now today though, it's not this guy. I have got another one that's just about the same size that I've been working with, and I'm going to show you where I'm at with it today, and hopefully progress it a couple more steps along the way towards getting it to this stage right there. So let me show you what I got. You'll have to excuse the winter mess, but here is my other second piece of driftwood. Cool, huh? I mean, look at the curves, the contours, the grain. There's some awful cuts. Yes, I know. There's some awful cuts. And they'll be disguised with foliage. And there's some straight cuts. And then there's this thing. This will end up coming off. I think I'll get a rubber mallet and just pound that off. Because the rest, this looks pretty good. But anyway, this is a very large and very heavy piece. I like to call this one the dancer, because if you step back, it kind of looks like someone in some kind of interpretive dance, whereas that guy's more like a swan. So now, if you'll see, this thing is propped up on two rocks, which is pretty crazy. I spent about 30 minutes playing with it yesterday, trying to make sure I could get this thing balanced. And believe it or not, it stayed overnight like this. And there is a small breeze blowing, and it hasn't blown it over. So you can see on the high side, it's about 5 inches off the pavement. So I'm gonna have to draw a line horizontally and then cut that bottom wedge out. So hopefully then it will stay flat on the ground, or at least be balanced enough that when we put the risers on the bottom, we can position them in such a way that the piece remains upright. This one has not been treated with lime sulfur yet, but it will. And it will resemble the other one in terms of the whiteness of the deadwood. There's the back side. I'm sure you can appreciate what a neat piece this is and the potential that it has for creating a really neat composition Tanuki. This piece might end up getting shortened over the long run. But can you see this front side? Oh man, just neat features. And I'm really looking forward to this. So both for this one and that one, I've seen down at Weigert's Bonsai Nursery in Florida that they have mica pots that should fit this pretty nicely. So I think that'll be the next step. Today I'm just gonna measure and cut a flat base. So stay tuned and we'll get into it. So I'm going to try a slightly different technique today. That pot you see in front is about just slightly over 3 inches high, which should be able to reach just above that lip so that we can make a flat line or horizontal line and then cut it so it has a flat bottom. So I'm actually going to use that pot as my guide tool, and I've got a Sharpie here that I'm going to use to go around the circumference of the base, and then we'll cut it off. So that was fairly straightforward. And I am hoping that, you know, if I cut along that line, making sure I stay on the same horizontal plane, that this whole bottom wedge will come off and it will sit horizontally, or at least mostly so, and then we can tweak and adjust with the risers. Guess we got to get out the chainsaw now. Here's what I got so far. We're about halfway through it. Just using the little mini chainsaw, handheld chainsaw. And you know, it's a fairly straight line. It does angle down in there about like that. So I'm gonna see if I can get the rest of this thing off. I might have to flip it over and attack it that way, but so far so good. And hey, wouldn't you know it? So I cut off that base and it's just sitting there nice and level. No strings attached, I promise. I'll show you the backside. Now my driveway does have a slope to it. So I'm gonna take it back near the benches and test it there and make sure that but I'm impressed. I'm happy with this. I think it's positioned nicely. That should be basically the front. And yeah, so let's take it back towards the pool and see what's up. Tell you what, guys, it's kind of a miracle. And what that little handheld chainsaw can do. There's the two stones I had it propped up. And that right there is why this is a long, laborious process. Here we are back to the workbench. There's the bottom. You know, it's not the cleanest cut ever, but it's going to work. I did some test fitting off camera, and I have again through these L brackets. These are stainless steel, rust-proof, rust-resistant brackets, and decking screws. And I think what I'm going to do is make this guy a bit of a tripod, because it wants to lean towards the backside. It wants to fall to its backside. So I'm going to give that backside 2 legs and put 1 in the front. Now I have already drilled the holes. So now I'm going to try to attach the risers. yeah, I just snugged down those bolts or the screws, and it's just sitting right there nice and easy on that little tripod. Again, I'll have to test fit it on a level surface, but for right now, it's very stable. So we got one riser sticking out the front and two. There's one to the right, one to the left, and it's sitting nice and level. I brought it back to the benches, and look at that. It is stable on its new little tripod. I can even kind of move it around. It's pretty level. It's really nice and level. So I am pleased with that. That's a great outcome for a morning's work. A level base, risers to sit in the pot, which will keep the bottom from hopefully rotting as fast, and it'll allow negative space for the roots to grow rather than being taken up by a solid object like a brick or a cinder block or something. There is the second one, or the first one rather. The next step will be to treat this with lime sulfur, bleach it out, preserve the wood, and then hopefully in the next month or two, I'll order 2 pots to put these guys in. One last kind of shot of the front, like that, and I am a happy guy. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed. If you got any questions, thoughts, concerns, experience, put them in the comments below, and hopefully we'll see you on the next one.